Pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because this will change the way you understand women for the rest of your life. Most men spend years trying to impress, please, conquer, and remain alone, frustrated, without understanding where they went wrong. They think the problem is appearance, money, height. They are wrong. The problem is much deeper, and at the same time, much simpler than you imagine. Women don't choose men by logic. They choose by sensation, by instinct, by something that happens in the body before it passes through the mind. And this instinct responds to specific behavioral patterns that most men completely ignore, or worse, do exactly the opposite. While you try to be nice, she feels boredom. While you try to show interest, she feels suffocation. While you try to prove your worth, she has already decided you have none. Not because you're a bad guy, but because you're communicating the wrong things, in the wrong way, at the wrong time. David Buss, one of the greatest evolutionary psychology researchers in the world, spent decades studying what women really desire in men. In his book, The Evolution of Desire, he analyzed more than 10,000 people across 37 different cultures. Do you know what he discovered? That there are universal patterns of attraction. It doesn't matter if the woman is Brazilian, Japanese, American, or African. The female brain evolved to detect the same signals. Signals of competence, signals of emotional stability, signals that this man is capable of protecting, leading, and building something solid. These signals are not about what you say, they are about what you transmit without realizing it. And this is exactly what this video will reveal to you. 5 characteristics that seem crazy when you hear them for the first time, but that every woman, without exception, responds to with desire. They are not tricks. They are not cheap manipulation techniques. They are behavioral patterns that activate something primitive in the female nervous system, something she doesn't control, doesn't rationalize, and often doesn't even understand, but feels. And when she feels this coming from you, everything changes. The way she looks at you, the way she responds to your messages, the way she wants to be near you. Stay with me until the end. Because what I'm going to show you here is not in the generic advice you find out there. This is science. This is reality. And this will give you an advantage that 90% of men will never have. Chapter 1. The unshakable emotional presence. Have you ever noticed how some women seem to lose interest out of nowhere? You're talking, everything seems to flow, and suddenly she cools off. The responses get short, the enthusiasm disappears, and you're left there replaying every word you said, trying to figure out where you went wrong. The answer is almost always in a place you never looked. It wasn't what you said, it was what you demonstrated without realizing it. Emotionally reactive men send a clear signal to the female brain, a signal of fragility, of instability, that this man can't handle pressure. And this happens in details you don't even register, in how you change your mood when she takes time to respond, in the need to explain yourself when she makes a provocation, in the anxiety that shows through when you feel you're losing control of the conversation. Women pick up on this in milliseconds, not because they're mean or calculating, but because the female instinct evolved to test men's emotional solidity. She needs to know if you can handle it, if you break easily, if you're going to crumble at the first real difficulty. Research conducted by the University of Zurich in 2019 revealed something that confirms exactly this. Women associate low male emotional reactivity with greater reliability as a long-term partner. In other words, the man who doesn't lose his composure, who doesn't react impulsively, who remains calm when everything around him pressures. This man activates something different in the female nervous system. It's not fear, it's security. And security, for a woman's instinct, is one of the most potent aphrodisiacs that exist. Now, be careful not to confuse emotional presence with coldness. I'm not telling you to become a statue, ignore feelings, or pretend that nothing affects you. That's a mask, and masks fall. What separates the magnetic man from the common man is the ability to feel everything, the tension, the provocation, the uncertainty, and still choose how to respond. He processes internally before reacting externally. He's not controlled by emotions. He observes them, recognizes them, and decides what to do with them. This is mastery. This is maturity. This is what makes a woman look at you and think, this guy is different. The simplest test you can do is to observe your own reaction when a woman provokes you, takes time to respond, or acts unpredictably. Does your chest tighten? Does your mind race through scenarios? Do you feel the urge to send another message, to justify yourself, to seek validation? If the answer is yes, you're giving away your power. You're showing her that your emotional state depends on her behavior, and the moment she realizes this, something inside her shuts off, not out of cruelty, by instinct. Emotional presence is built in the small interactions of daily life, in the 3-second pause before responding to any provocation, in the ability to sustain silence when she expects you to destabilize, in the conscious decision not to turn every conversation into an emotional roller coaster. This is not something you fake, it's something you train until it becomes part of who you are. And when that happens, women feel it. They feel that you are a man who doesn't need their approval to remain whole. And paradoxically, that's exactly what makes them want to approve of you. Chapter 2, The Unshakable Purpose. Let me ask you a direct question. If a woman disappeared from your life today, what would be left? What would be the center of your existence tomorrow morning? If you hesitated to answer, you just identified one of the biggest saboteurs of your attractiveness. Men without clear purpose orbit around women like planets around the sun. They become the gravitational center of his life. And the moment that happens, something in the female instinct begins to reject. It's not that she wants a cold or absent man. What she wants is a man who has something to wake up for in the morning, something that isn't her, something that existed before she appeared and will continue to exist regardless of what happens between you. This isn't selfishness, it's structure. It's the silent demonstration that you are a complete man, not a man waiting to be completed. David Buss, in his research at the University of Texas, identified a pattern that repeats in practically every culture studied. Women demonstrate consistent preference for men with ambition and life direction. And this doesn't mean you need to be a millionaire or have a prestigious career. It means you need to be building something, walking towards somewhere, evolving. The stagnant man, even if he has money, even if he has looks, transmits an energy of paralysis that the female instinct detects and rejects. Think about it with me. From an evolutionary perspective, a man with purpose signals the ability to generate resources, to protect, to build a solid future. The female brain doesn't analyze this consciously. She doesn't sit and think about your career goals, but something inside her responds when she perceives that you are in motion, that you have hunger, that you're not waiting for life to happen, but making it happen. This activates reward circuits in her nervous system. She wants to be part of it, wants to be close to this energy, wants to be chosen by someone who has options, not by someone who is desperate for any female validation. When a man lives for a woman, she feels suffocated even if he never says a word about it. She feels the weight of being someone's entire reason for existing. And that responsibility, even if unconscious, generates rejection. But the man who has his own path, his own passion, his own construction, frees her from this weight. He doesn't depend on her to feel complete, and that makes her want to be part of what he's building. Before continuing, I need to tell you something. If what I'm showing you here is making sense, you need to know about the seduction code. Inside there, I reveal an attraction mechanism that doesn't exist anywhere else on the internet. It's not theory, it's not generic advice. It's a system based on real behavioral psychology that teaches you to activate specific triggers in the female mind. Triggers that make her feel desire for you almost automatically. Men who applied this method report changes in days, not months. The link is in the description or in the pinned comment. Now, let's move on to the next point. Chapter 3, the 3 silent characteristics that generate obsession. Some things are not said. They are demonstrated. And it's exactly these things that separate the man women desire from the one they treat as a friend, as a backup option, as someone nice but who will never awaken anything beyond sympathy. What I'm going to show you now are 3 characteristics that operate in silence. You don't announce that you have them, you simply transmit them. And when you transmit them, something changes in her gaze, in her posture, in the way she starts thinking about you when you're not around. The first is genuine scarcity. Robert Cialdini, one of the greatest researchers of influence and persuasion in the world, demonstrated in his studies that what is perceived as scarce automatically gains value in human eyes. This applies to products, to opportunities, and it applies to people. The man who is always available, who responds in seconds, who never has anything more important to do than give her attention, communicates a dangerous message. He communicates that he has no options, that his life is empty enough for her to be the maximum priority before she even deserves that place. And the female instinct translates this as low value. But be careful. Genuine scarcity is not playing games. It's not taking time to respond on purpose while you're there anxiously looking at your phone. That's cheap manipulation that any minimally intelligent woman notices. Genuine scarcity comes from you actually having commitments, having a life that works independently of her, having friends, projects, workouts, goals, things that occupy your time because they're important to you. When your scarcity is real, you don't need to fake it. It simply exists, and she feels it. The second characteristic is mastery of eye contact. A study conducted by the University of Aberdeen in 2011 showed that sustained eye contact significantly increases the perception of attractiveness. But here's a detail that few understand. It's not just looking, it's how you look. The insecure man looks away when she reciprocates. The needy man looks with need, like someone asking for approval. The man who understands the dynamics of attraction looks with presence, with calm, with a quiet confidence that says, without words, that he doesn't need her, but is choosing to be there. This type of gaze creates tension, and tension is fuel for attraction. When you sustain the gaze without anxiety, without rushing to fill the silence, something in her nervous system responds. She feels she's in front of someone different, someone who isn't intimidated, someone who can handle the intensity of the moment without breaking. This is rare. And what is rare awakens curiosity, interest, desire to explore more. The third characteristic is the ability to lead without asking permission. A study from the University of British Columbia published in 2011 found that women rate men with expressions of dominance and pride as more attractive than those with expressions of submissive happiness. This bothers some people, but science doesn't care about what bothers us. Science reveals what is. Leading doesn't mean being authoritarian or arrogant. It means making decisions, choosing the place for the date instead of asking where she wants to go, guiding the conversation instead of waiting for her to set the pace, taking responsibility for the moment instead of outsourcing every choice to her. Women test this all the time, even without realizing it. They throw the decision in your lap to see what you do. And when you accept this responsibility naturally, without hesitation, something inside her relaxes. She feels she can trust, that she's in good hands, that you're capable of guiding. These three characteristics are not announced. They are lived. And when you start incorporating them into your daily behavior, women won't be able to explain why they feel attracted to you. They will simply feel it, and that's what matters. Conclusion. Everything I showed you in this video points in a single direction. There's no trick. There's no magic phrase. There's no shortcut that transforms a fragile man into someone magnetic overnight. What exists is a process, a path of internal construction that changes the way you see yourself, and consequently, changes the way women perceive you. Emotional presence, unshakable purpose, genuine scarcity, mastery of eye contact, ability to lead. These 5 things are not isolated techniques. They are expressions of a solid masculine identity, of a man who did the work that most refused to do. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists in history, spoke about a process called individuation, the journey of becoming who you really are, of integrating your shadows, your fears, your weaknesses, instead of pretending they don't exist. Jung said that the man who doesn't know his own unconscious projects his insecurities onto everything around him, in relationships, at work, in social interactions. And these projections sabotage everything. You push away exactly what you desire because you're operating from wounds you've never looked at directly. This is the truth that most men avoid. It's easier to blame women, to say they only want rich, handsome, famous men. It's more comfortable to believe the game is unfair than to admit that you haven't yet become the type of man who awakens genuine desire. But while you remain in this victim mentality, nothing changes. You keep repeating the same mistakes, expecting different results and getting more frustrated each time. The man who decides to break out of this cycle accepts an uncomfortable responsibility. He stops waiting for the world to be fair and starts working with reality as it is. He understands that attraction is not negotiable, that you don't convince a woman to desire you. That desire is an involuntary response to who you are, not to what you try to appear to be. And with this clarity, he begins to build, brick by brick, day after day, until the change is so deep that it becomes irreversible. I know part of you wants to believe there's an easier path, a secret formula that solves everything without effort. This part of you will keep searching and keep being disappointed. But if there's another part, a part that's tired of mediocrity, that's ready to face the discomfort of real transformation, then the seduction code was made for you. Inside, I teach the complete system, not pieces, not theories. A structured method that reveals how the female mind really works and how to activate attraction triggers that most men don't even know exist. Techniques you won't find anywhere else on the internet because they were developed from years of study in behavioral psychology and real-world application. The link is in the descriptions and in the pinned comment. The decision is yours. Now answer me something honestly. Of the 5 characteristics I showed today, which one do you know you need to develop first? Don't think about the one that seems easiest. Think about the one that bothers you the most, because usually that's where the most important work is, and that's where your true transformation begins.